four women that you're about to hear from represent the sweeping lens that helped to focus Walter's view throughout the years. Ladies and gentlemen, Chelly Divadet, Gita Stolberg, Alta Starr, and Corey Greenfield, the family.
Planning for today has helped me better understand what Walter's life means. One of the most touching, yet perplexing parts of his experience has been to understand the Walter so many of you know. The man I loved was complicated. While deeply lovable, he was often difficult to love. Profoundly private, often going far, far away. He would sit at his piano and play a rendition of Raindrops on Roses or the Moonlight Sonata, and he would come back, and I felt he was saved. When we were first dating over 20 years ago, friends wanted to know about Walter. I would describe him and then laughingly add, I feel like I'm dating an issue.
When I was a little girl, I tried to rationalize my mixed background and explain it away. When Walter entered my life as a father, he only added to that mix. But what had been so confusing for me suddenly became normal when he introduced me as his daughter with no explanations. He often spoke with me about fighting one's own battles. This summer, when I wanted to return from the Obama campaign to be with him, he said, "Hell no. You're doing the most important thing you've ever done in your life."
Yeah.
Walter saw the kind of world we can be, and I've only recently learned it should be celebrated, not explained away. I look out at this room, and I feel Walter, Billy, chuckle deep from the core of his soul. And he's shaking his finger and telling me, "By the way, didn't I tell you by the way?" I think about the amazing works he's given all of us, and the ones he never had a chance to finish. And he's still chuckling harder now, and it's contagious.
What I would like to tell you is about someone very, very special. My brother Billy. One of my first teachers. My first dance partner. Yeah. The first person who took me to a nightclub where we danced. The first person who made me be still and listen to a teacher. He was one of my first teachers.
I think that this celebration that we are participating in today is similarly dedicated to all of Billy's colleagues and comrades and students, and also all of those people that he worked to serve. As Esmeralda said, he is here with us, and the part of him that I think is so precious to be here with us is his joy. He found in music a kind of peace inside that whirlwind, and joy, and the full range of human experience, which is ephemeral, but can be transformed.
When I was young, I fought for freedom. When I was young, I fought the Klan. Who would have thought I'd still be fighting 30 or 40 years down the line?
Every movement has to have its ideal people. Somewhere in the back room, you've got to have somebody spending some time trying to figure out where it is that we're trying to go, and how do we know when we get there, and when do we turn, where do we turn the next corner, and then what do we put in place to make something good happen, and then how do we leave behind things that are going to continue to value people after we're gone. And I think Billy not only was able to see those things and to make other people see them, but he also really was blessed to be able to go to the university where he was able to train other young people to be good in that art.
My name is Joyce Ladner. A friend is someone who believes in you when you cease to believe in yourself. I regarded Billy as that type of friend. I also saw him as someone who knows the song in my heart, and he could sing it to me even after years after I'd forgotten the words. I was very, very blessed to have had Billy as my oldest and dearest friend for 45 years.
He was a committed race man. He believed that the only way to change the deeply ingrained patterns of institutional racism was the development and nurturing of well-trained Black political and civil groups that could reform and press government on their behalf. His heroes were race men, activists, intellectuals, social scientists.
Commitment, selflessness, love of family, friend, and colleagues. And to that end, his priorities were clear. He had a charge to keep, a calling to fulfill, and a rendezvous with a just and righteous cause. You all know that Walter was involved with a lot of groups. If there's a problem, he forms a group. If he didn't form it, he joined it. But one thing is certain, all of these groups were involved in bringing about change. He was impatient, very impatient. And I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one who did not understand half of what he said.
To me, he will always be an important part of me. Yes, he introduced Donna to me, my wife, and we have a beautiful daughter. He introduced these two brothers to me, but he also reaffirmed in me who I am as a person. And that's something that I'll always be thankful for.
When I first met Walter Stafford, my first career had come to a crashing halt. Walter was one of the first people I was able to talk to and tell him, I was in the Black Panther Party for 10 years. I was a fugitive for 3 years. And I was in prison for 5 years. And I went back to college. And I went to NYU. They accepted me and got a full ride. And, and I realized that all the other mentors that I had who were dead and were in prison, were in exile, were consummated in this one person.
I wrote this little tidbit that's called "Just Call Me Walter." Look, don't call me Professor Stafford. Just call me Walter. It was odd when he asked. I feared that it would somehow change him, us, our relationship, but I probably feared more that it would change me. I know now that he meant for it to do exactly that. But what he meant to do, I did not fully understand until much, much later in life. It was he who gave me one of the most precious and dear gifts I've ever received: intellectual enlightenment. Walter knew that it would not be possible for me to accept that gift unless he changed something in my life. I feel extremely lucky to have known Walter.
I was one of the first research assistants for the network, and we just lost our most esteemed general in our army as we continue to battle for equality and justice. In memory of Walter and with love and respect, Councilman Albert Van,